And hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video I'll be talking about all the extensions I have installed on VSCode. And you may be interested in installing some of them yourself. Now if you're new to VSCode, installing extensions is pretty easy. Usually when you boot up VSCode, you'll have this bar right here. By clicking on this extension tab, you can go here and search for your extension. In this scenario, for example, this better C++ syntax, you can just type it in here and you'll be able to get that extension. Cool. Let's just increase the size a bit. Now let's start here with auto rename tag. This is a tag I really love because when using HTML, sometimes when you rename tags, it can be quite a pain. For example, if I were to go here, create a new file, and let's set up our HTML template, leave all of that as is. Now here I decide I want to do a div tag, and inside of it we have a p tag, and then with some text. Now I decide I want to change this div tag to a section tag. So section. You'll notice both of these changed at the same time. If I change something here at the top, it changes at the bottom as well. By default, if you change one of these, you have to change the bottom one manually. This auto rename tag does this for you, so if you change the top or the bottom one, it will modify both. Better C++ syntax, as you can guess, it just improves C++ coding. So here you go, it kind of give you an example of how it will look. Then you have better comments, also something I do love using. To give you an example of this is, let's go here. And let's say I need to leave a note about a bug. I can just do this, bug here, and then explain the bug. So by putting an exclamation mark here, it will make this red. You can also do things such as info, or actually I meant to go question mark. So let's say you have a question or you're not sure about something. Does this do something like that? And if you want to make a note, you can go star, and it'd be like, this is a special comment, like that. There are a lot more, as you can see here, so you can do a lot more with it. But yeah, this is a basic example. I do love using this because it does highlight some comments. If I ever need to go back to it, I can quickly see what comment I need to read. Then we have better TOML. This just gives syntax highlighting to .toml files. If I'm correct, TOML files is what you use to create man pages. Can't quite remember why I installed this, but I think it's because of man pages on Linux. Then you have the bracket pair colorizer. This is very useful because, as you can see here, this pair of brackets are purple. These pair, they're yellow. If you go here, blue, yellow, purple, blue, yellow. So as you can see, they paired them with color. Whilst there are not a lot of colors, it does make it easier to say which one of these brackets goes with what. Because sometimes you need to remove one, but you don't exactly know which one is the last one, even if you have indentation. And this can make it easier. Then brainfuck syntax for syntax highlighting and brainfuck. As you can see, there's not really much to highlight, but it's there. Then there's a bunch of C++ things. I think these came installed with VSCode, or maybe when I started the first C++ program, because I have no actual memory of actually installing this. But it just helps with C++, and I can actually say it does help. Because if I uninstall this, believe me, it's not a very fun experience without it. Then there's CMake. This makes creating CMake files a bit easier. CMake tools, which I think just came with CMake. Then we have CSS formatter, and this just formats CSS files. So you can either use this or something like Prettier, because I think Prettier CSS formatter looks absolutely disgusting, so I use this. Then there's Doxygen documentation generator, which basically generates documentation comments in languages. Then there's the Dracula color scheme. I switched to this because Monokai Pro kept popping up a please buy me notification, and I don't have the funds to buy that, so I just said screw that and went to Dracula. As you can see, it looks pretty good. Then there's eslint support, because you know, if you have an eslint file, why not install the support for that eslint here as well? And basically, for those of you who don't know, eslint is something that keeps your code concise and clean. For example, here, eslint is actually giving us a little bit of a warning here because it's declared, but it's never read. It's never being used. So eslint is saying we should either delete this or we should use it somewhere. But you actually need an eslint file that would look something like this to be able to use it. But eslint is pretty simple to install. I don't think I have to go through that. Then there's Go to give you Golang support. And I can definitely recommend this because it does give really good Golang support. GraphQL, which gives really good GraphQL support. Yet again, I would recommend this because it does really nice support with GraphQL. HTML snippets, that is how I basically got all of this set up. Of course, this is a custom snippet, but it helps with other snippets as well. For example, if you go here, you can actually take a look at all of the snippets you can get. So as you see, div doc a. I think most of this might even just come with VSCode, but yeah, so as you can see, it does that. I can go div, that will give us a div. I can go section.test, that will give us a section with the class of test. So yeah, that's a pretty neat one to have. But yeah, it gives nice auto completion for you. Then there's Jinja, because I use Jinja with Flask a lot. So this gives me Jinja support. Mainly just color highlighting syntax, you know. Then there's Live Server. This is very, very useful. If we go here, we save this. We can say open with Live Server. And this will open on my browser. And it will put it in a live server. You'll see me use this a lot in my tutorials. So now here we have a little example. If I go here and I say, I am cool, as soon as I save, it auto refreshes here and says I am cool. This is why I like this, because of HTML files at least, it makes it super easy to run this instantly without you having to go here, save, go back here, refresh. Go here, save, go back here, refresh. Then there's Lua. This gives me great Lua support for the Lua programming language. If you have followed any of my Love 2D or Lua tutorials, this is the extension I use. I don't use this Lua debug, but I think it came with the extension, so I just leave it as is. Lua FMT to format my Lua, but I wouldn't really recommend this. It kind of formats it in a very ugly way. I just use it if I want to minify my code. Then there's Markdown Preview Enhanced, which is a really useful tool. If we go here, we can create a new file, save it as test.md. Now here we can right click, say Markdown Preview Enhanced. Here we go. I am cool. And there should be a hashtag. There we go. Now here you can go and create maybe a bold text. Hello. And here we can create a second header, whatnot, put some text here. And it just basically gives you a preview of it. It's very, very handy, and I always use it when I work with Markdown. Then there's the material icon theme, which is basically improves these icons to look a bit cooler. Then there's Monokai Pro. It gives you a nice kind of look to your code. So if we go here and we go, then here you go. So if you like Monokai Pro, you'd probably like this. Although I've become so used to Dracula, to me this isn't that great anymore. And then we go here, this gives me MP4 preview. So if I have a video in my folder structure, I can view that video inside of VS Code instead of having to open up a new file manager, go into the folder, open it up. That's kind of annoying. So this allows me to just watch the video there. Then there's Nim. This gives great KVlang support. I definitely recommend this if you code in Nim. Pascal, this gives Pascal support, and then Pascal formatter, which is supposed to format your Pascal code, but it actually never does it for me, so I don't know what's going on there. Then there's Polar Code. Polar Code is very, very nice. I'd actually recommend this a lot. Let's go here to reducers. Let's delete this, and let's actually just copy this. You can then say Polar Code, paste it in here, like that, and now here we have a little image that we can, of course, give it nice looks to, and we can just save this image like here in desktop. Now if we go to our desktop, then we can view that image, and there we go. So this just creates a very nice image snippets if that's what you're into. Then there's Bridger, it formats your code. So for example, if I were to do this and I were to do this, or actually let's leave that on the same line, that might actually just cause problems. And I were to do this and maybe this as well. If I say Control Shift I, it formats the code and makes it look neat again. Then there's Pylance. Pylance gives extra support for Python. Then this is required to import syntax. So if you use JavaScript, you may know that you have const and then courses slice is equal to require, and then you can just copy this, paste it in here. Now you may know that this isn't really something we use in the latest versions of ES. So what we can do is we can say Control Alt R, and if we press that, it will automatically convert it into an import for us. So that's what this does. It transforms the require into an import. Drop syntax. I think this is what we use for man pages. So I'm not quite sure what this top one is for then, because I can't remember when last I used TOML, so I might just disable this because I didn't remember when I used this. And I think trough is for specifically man pages. Yeah, like here, dash man. So I guess. Then here is VSCode styled components. And this just gives support for these styled components, which I didn't really use often, but it does make it better because instead of it looking like a piece of text, it actually looks like normal CSS. Then here are some that I haven't deleted yet, but I have just disabled them because I'm not currently using them. There's Docker. This gives kind of great Docker support. I haven't written any Docker in a while, so I just disabled this because I don't know when I'll be writing Docker again. Then we have Kotlin, and I might actually just uninstall this, but this does give Kotlin support, although I just prefer using Android Studio at this point. Then there's KVlang. This gives extra support for KV in Python. So as you can see here, because you have a special KV file, and this gives extra support to that file. Then we have Live Share, which I've always wanted to use, but no one actually ever wants to use it with me. Basically, you can share your code with someone else in real time, and then you can both edit the code, or you can just talk through it or whatnot. And then this one is to add audio to that. PHP IntelliSense. This helps with coding PHP by giving us IntelliSense for it, so auto-completion and whatnot. PHP Server, I do recommend this. This allows you to boot up a PHP server right there. So you can just right click and say start PHP server. I don't know what any of these are. I think they just come pre-installed now. Tab 9 for AI auto-completion. Currently, I might just uninstall it. It hasn't really helped me that much, so I can't really recommend it, but yeah. And then there's Vim, if you want Vim key bindings in VSCode. However, if you want Vim key bindings, I just recommend getting only Vim. Because if we go here, then you have Vim key bindings. And you know, you have your insert, and you can insert, you can escape, you can undo that. This has Vim key bindings, and it's basically the same as VSCode at this point. But yeah, that is all of my extensions I have installed in VSCode. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and maybe you have found a few extensions you enjoy using as well. And I will see you all again in the next video.